Let's talk about the sequence of operation of the gas furnace. Sequence of operation of a gas furnace. What do you think the sequence of operation will start with? Anybody know? Any guess? Yes! That is awesome. Tim, man, love it. Hey, but you have the initiative to print it out and look at it. I love that. Thermostat. Thermostat has a word called that we say calls. The thermostat calls for heat. When a thermostat calls for heat, it simply connects R to W. It connects R to W. At my furnace control board, I have the letters R and W here. I can check to see if I'm getting that signal from the thermostat or not without going to the thermostat. Between R and G, if the thermostat's calling, should be how many volts? 0. It's the same wire. It's the same exact wire. It should be 0. It's the same wire. Now, what would it be between... Did I say R and G? R and W. What would it be between W and common?
24.
24 volts. Good. The opposite side. So I can check it right there. The next thing this control board is going to do, the IFC is what I'm saying for control board. IFC is going to do a safety check. Which means it's going to check all these components. It's going to check the limit switches, the rollout switches, everything for safety before it even tries to start. Yeah, it's great. So much better than our days, right, Jason? I mean, they're so much more safe. IFC is going to do a safety check. Then the IFC is going to energize. And by energize, I mean send voltage to the combustion motor or the inducer draft motor. It's going to send voltage to it. It's going to energize it, send voltage to it. That's going to pull a draft through the heat exchanger. It's also going to pull a vacuum to the pressure switch. It's going to pull a vacuum to the pressure switch. That pressure switch is then going to tattletale or send 24 volts to the IFC to ensure that inducer fan motor is working. How great is that? Isn't that cool?
Yes, sir.
So it's going to do a safety check. It's going to energize this motor. This motor is going to pull a draft through the heat exchanger. That's going to also pull a draft to the pressure switch. The pressure switch is going to tell the IFC that it's still working. Before the IFC does anything, though, it's going to leave this motor running for a pre-purge. This motor is going to run for a pre-purge. Pre-purge. A pre-purge means maybe it was just running and there's still some natural gas left in there. Maybe there was some cleaning supplies the customer had in the closet. Maybe there's a car in the garage and there was some fumes in there. It's going to run a 30-second pre-purge to get any of the fumes out of that heat exchanger. Nice of it, right?
Just to make sure there's nothing.
Just to make sure. Once it does that, the IFC, the Integrated Furnace Controller, is going to then energize what? What do you think? It's going to energize the HSI, hot surface igniter, to start getting hot. Or it can energize the spark igniter, either one. Usually you're going to see, I think there's more HSIs than spark igniters, but it's going to either start sparking or it's going to start that hot surface igniter getting hot. Did that hot surface igniter get hot immediately when I plugged it in? It took just a little bit, didn't it? Didn't it take a few seconds? So it's going to give it a little bit of a delay for that to get hot. Then the IFC, what do you think it'll do next? Oh, that's a good point. Let's review that. Can you see that burner? Sure. Burner on. Burner on. Nothing for it to work, right? It doesn't do anything. I like that you answered. I'm not picking it. I like the answer. Burner on. It's not going to do anything. So what do you think we're going to energize?
Combination gas valve.
Yes, the combination gas valve. Combination. The combination gas valve. The combination gas valve. That's going to allow gas. This marker's dying, so let me switch. That's going to allow gas to do what? Tim? Yes. Flow through the manifold. Flow through the manifold. What's the manifold? This is the manifold. It's going to allow gas to flow through the manifold. To what next? The spuds. Then once it goes to the spuds, it's going to flow through what? Through the orifice. Where then, after it goes through the orifice, it's going to mix with primary air. Primary air is the primary air we need to burn. It's going to then mix with primary air right here. And that's going to mix inside of what? It's going to mix with primary air inside this burner. Right? It's like a car. We've mixed the air and the fuel. It's going to mix the primary inside the burner. Then this is going to go across the HSI. Goes across the HSI, right? Which is going to ignite into a flame. It's going to ignite into a flame. And where is that flame going to burn?
Inside the heat exchanger.
It's going to burn inside the heat exchanger. Where's the heat exchanger? Right here. The flame's going to burn inside this heat exchanger. That's what's going to happen. It's going to burn inside of this. If it's not burning inside of this, we have a problem, right?
Yeah.
If it's not going across the HSI, is it going to ignite into a flame? Not correctly. I have seen it before where somebody's installed an HSI, but they didn't put it in front of the burners. So it never ignited into a flame. Jason, you ever ran into that?
Yep.
Yes, he has.
I wonder which school they went to.
They're just people in the field. They pick up bad habits or they get lazy. So it goes, that flame burns inside the heat exchanger. Then the flame sensor has a few seconds to prove a flame. It only has a few seconds to prove a flame. Why does it only have a few seconds? You don't want the gas dumping out everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It only gives it a few seconds to prove a flame. How is it going to prove the flame?
Sensor for the flame.
Flame rectification. Flame rectification. It's going to prove a flame with the process called flame rectification. And we know the flame is not really doing it. It's proving a flame through rectification to what? To the IFC. Once the flame's proven, if we know that we have a flame, what we're going to do is we're going to shut off the hot service igniter, right? Because we don't need it on all the time, do we? We've already lit the flames. We're going to shut off the hot service igniter, and what we're going to do is keep on the combination gas valve. Don't we want to keep the gas on? Keep the flames on?
Yeah.
Now what happened if I did not sense a flame? It's going to shut the gas off, right?
Yeah.
Hey, there's not a flame. You shut the gas off. That's an important step. Then the IFC is going to let the heat exchanger heat up. It's going to let the heat exchanger heat up. Once the heat exchanger heats up, it's going to turn on the blower. Once the heat exchanger heats up, then it's going to turn on the blower. Why do we want the blower to come on right away? We don't want to blow two things. We don't want to blow cool air, and actually having that flame too cool will cause incomplete combustion. So we want to let that flame get warm so it's burning correctly. And we also wanted to make sure that we're not blowing cool air for Mrs. Jones. Every time this unit comes on, I get a blast of cool air. I don't like that. Can't you fix that? Well, yes, ma'am. Yes, we can. We want it to blow warm, right? Then what's the IFC going to do? Monitor all safety components. It's going to monitor all the safety components all the time. Anytime there's a safety problem, safety component, it's going to shut off. It's going to shut the what do you think it'll shut off if it finds a problem? It's going to shut off the combination gas valve, which shuts the flames off, right? Any problem it has, it's going to shut that off. And this is going to happen until what? Till what? Well, I mean, all this. If there's no problems with that, this is going to happen until what time?
Oh, until it reaches its limit.
Until heat
Until the thermostat satisfies. Keyword satisfied. The thermostat satisfied means it's doing what? Breaks R and W. The thermostat is going to break R and W. Does the thermostat control the fan on heating cycle on this unit? What controls the fan on heating cycle? The unit itself, the control board, the IFC does. The thermostat just says, hey, I need heat or I don't need heat. The thermostat satisfies. So once the thermostat satisfies, guess what the IFC does? It immediately kills the combination gas valve. No. Immediately shuts off the combination gas valve, which kills what? The flames. It immediately kills the flames. It immediately shuts off the combination gas valve. Immediately shuts off the combination gas valve. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
The IFC keeps the combustion motor on, the inducer motor on. And I'm just really sloppily up here so that, because you have this up to your SIN gauge already, it does help just writing it. The IFC keeps the inducer fan motor. This motor right here, it keeps it on to post-purge. It was just running. We want to get those fumes out of there. So it's going to keep the inducer motor on to post-purge. And then it's going to shut it off. It's going to keep it on just to post-purge. Then it's going to shut it off. All right? So far, so good? Mm-hmm. Then the IFC is going to keep the blower on. It's going to keep the blower on to cool the heat exchanger. That heat exchanger was hot, wasn't it? Did it just have a fire inside of it? We want to keep that blower running to cool that heat exchanger down, number one. But number two, did I pay money to buy natural gas to get that heat exchanger hot? Yep. We want to put that heat into the customer's house. So there's two reasons it wants to keep it on. But cool that heat exchanger is a big deal. If you're working on a unit, never just unplug it. Cycle it off. Well, if there's an emergency, unplug it. Okay. But you want to cycle it off. You want to let the heat exchanger cool down. You don't want to just let the heat exchanger be hot and immediately unplug it. You want to cycle it off. It always irritates me when I work with somebody and they just like unplug it. Like, whoa! Let it cycle down. If I need to shut it off, I can shut the gas off with that switch right there, or that big valve on the outside of the unit. I want to let the fan, the blower, cool it off.
Shutting it off just like that, would that make it crack sooner?
Could, yeah, absolutely. Metal got really hot, and now it's nothing running across it. It could very well do that. Yep, let it cool off. It's going to keep that blower on to cool it off. And the last step, I ran out of board. What's the last step? It's going to be off, waiting for the next call for heat. It's going to wait for the thermostat to say, hey, thermostat, we need some more heat. Now, this sequence of operation is your way of diagnosing the system. You go to the thermostat, you have a call for heat. This fan motor doesn't come on. Right? Well, you know, thermostat calls for heat, connects R&W, there's a safety check, and then it energizes the inducer fan motor. So, one thing you can do is check to see if you're getting voltage here. Pull this plug out, put my voltmeter here. I'm getting voltage there. What's the problem? Bad motor, yes. Scenario number 2. I'm not getting voltage here. How about I check between R and W to see if I'm getting the signal to the control board? And then maybe I should check to see if there's any kind of a code, because it's going to do a safety check between that. Maybe there's a safety issue. It's not letting anything happen. See those steps? Yeah. Now, you're not going to have these memorized in 2 days, but you should have this paper digitally with you so that you can see what's going on. This is your key to diagnosing the unit. Then what happens next? Does a pre-purge pull the vacuum to the pressure switch, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then the next thing you can see happens is hot surface igniter should get hot. So, you can look at it. Well, the hot surface igniter is not getting hot. So what's between that? There's the pressure switch and the igniter. So I can also unplug my igniter. Here's the plug for it. I just unplug it. See if I'm getting voltage there to it. Wait for the correct sequence. Oh, I never got voltage here. Well, let me check my pressure switch. Okay. Plug this back in. Check the pressure switch. Check the hoses to the pressure switch. All those things the pressure switch do. You know your problem is going to be in between that sequence. Or maybe it's not glowing hot, but you hear the gas valve go click, and you smell gas. And then you hear the gas valve click, shut off. What do you think the problem is? So you jump from this step to this step. You can smell the gas. You can hear the gas valve open. You can smell the gas. Is that gas valve opening if you can smell the gas?
Yes.
But you never saw the hot surface igniter come on. What do you think the problem is? Bad hot surface igniter, right? Check the voltage on it, ohm it out, see what's going on with it. See how this is a diagnostics tool for you?
It is.
It is great. It's great. Let's say this happens. All of this is happening, and then you can see the flame. It's burning in the heat exchanger. How do you know if there's a flame or not? You can see it. You can see the flame. Wow, there's a big blue flame inside of there. You can see it. So let's say you see a flame. That flame stays on for a few seconds and then shuts off. And then does it again. Stays on for a few seconds and then shuts off. You can see the flame. What's the problem?
Flame sensor.
What about it?
It's dirty.
Yes!
That was good.
That was great. Perfect. Jason, how important is that? How often does that happen, what you just described right there? All the time. Number 1 call for gas heat, dirty flame sensor. Number 1 gas heat call. Number 2 gas heat call, dirty filter. That right there happens. You can see the flame, and in a few seconds it shut off. See how the sequence of operation helps you diagnose what's happening? Go through the little checklist. Oh, well, but this happened and it didn't happen. Well, what's between those two? Then it should shut off the HSI, let the IFC heat up, and then if you wait, the blower motor should come on. What if the blower motor never comes on? Check the blower motor, right? See if you're getting power to it and check the speeds. It's a diagnostics tool so you know what's happening. It's also a great tool. I've had this many times. Well, Ty, could you tell me how does this thing even work anyways? Oh, well, this is great. You have one of the top-of-the-line systems right here. These things are so much safer than they ever used to be. You have an inducer fan motor. It's going to pull a draft through the heat exchanger, force the exhaust out, right? It's going to pull it through there. Now to make sure this works, and you don't have to worry about the wind blowing back through anymore like we used to in the old days. You don't have to worry about it blowing out your pilot lights or any of that. Then to make sure this works, we even have a separate safety to make sure that this is pulling a vacuum through there. It double checks that this guy's working. On top of that, we have a high limit switch and rollout switches. If the flame rolls out, it shuts off immediately. No more standing pilot, no more wasting gas. We got a hot surface igniter that heats up. We don't have to worry about the thermocouple going bad anymore. We have a flame sensor that proves a flame through a process called flame rectification. It's almost impossible to fool. We have jets burners that shoot it through at an angle now so that the gas is running much more efficient, saving a lot of time. And even if you have a cracked heat exchanger, because we're pulling the gas out, it's less likely to be in a carbon monoxide issue. We got a control board that monitors all of this safety the whole entire time it's running. This thing is modern, top line. You don't have to worry about those safety issues we did before. As long as we have it serviced and maintained every year, this thing will last you a long time. Oh, thank you. I didn't know there's that much into that. And they have respect because you knew what they were talking about. How great is that? So this is the diagnostics tool for you to know what's going on. But since we're going to cover quickly about diagnostics, do you know what the number one step, the first thing you do when you're diagnosing a gas furnace? Your number one step when diagnosing a gas furnace. Jason, do you know what the number one step for diagnosing a gas furnace is?
You look in the little hole and you look at the little light.
Yes! All these control boards will have some kind of little access hole, and you look through there, and on that control board, there's going to be an LED, which we call a blinking light. This one's got two. See the little blinking light? Is it blinking?
No.
We might not have any power to it if it's not blinking.
Could be.
Somebody get a voltmeter and check to see if that might be happening. Come on, that's funny. Just hanging out. The number one step is to check for the blinking light. Maybe it's a single light blinking. Maybe there's a red and a green. Maybe there's like 3 fast and 2 slow. There's 100 different ways of doing it, but you want to write it down. Write down what's happening before you do anything else. The reason is, the codes. Write it down before you do anything else. Because here's what's going to happen. You open that door safety switch is going to open, it's going to break. Once that door safety switch breaks, we no longer have power to that control board. Once we don't have power to that control board, it kills and clears all the codes that are in there. It resets everything. And it won't tell you what's happening. But what's great, though, is these codes help you diagnose what's wrong. It may say something like flashing, pressure switch. Does it mean the pressure switch is bad? It means the pressure switch isn't getting a vacuum to close, which could mean it's bad, or it could mean that tube is cracked, or it could mean this. It's something meaning that that pressure switch isn't getting the vacuum. It's not closing. Check everything related to that. A lot of people think because there's a blinking light, they don't have to think anymore. You still got to think. You still have to go through it. But if you know this sequence of operation of what's happening, and that little blinking light helps guide you to what's happening, the rest of it, and you're set. You're golden. We still have a lot to talk about. We still have to talk about gas pressure, manometer, how to adjust this regulator, adjusting the orifices and altitude. There's a lot of stuff we still got to talk about. But if you got this right here down, it puts you way ahead of the game. Right? Questions?
When you're checking the lights and everything for codes and everything, what happens if, say, the bulbs are broken or something and they're not lighting up?
Replace the control board.
Okay.
So the first thing is to check the control board.
Check the blinking light. What's the first step for diagnosing an air conditioner?
Turn the fan on.
Good. First step for diagnosing a gas furnace.
Check the light up.
Good. Question?
No.
Oh, they had a hand up.
Different brands got different codes. Different
Oh, gosh, yeah. Most of the brands you come to will have some kind of a thing inside of it. For example, this one says steady off, normal operation. 1 flash, false flame sensor sense. And it's telling you what to look for. Some of them have the codes on the outside. Some of them have the codes on the inside of the door. And Ream and Rudd, our old friends Ream and Rudd, they don't tell you nothing. you have to contact them to get their codes.
So that's kind of like
Can
a
you
wiring.
Google their codes?
I don't know. Try it.
So that list is kind of like a wiring diagram in a sense.
Yeah, and it's a wiring diagram. It tells you where all the wires go.
Yeah.
There's a wiring diagram in there. There's a ladder and a picture diagram. And even their ladder diagram has pictures on it. It's pretty cool. So what we're going to do next, guys,
Yeah.
the next step we're going to do is we're going to spend the rest of the night in the lab. I want you guys going through your sequence of operation. I know there's one unit that's for sure ready to go right now. I want you to fire these units up, work through them. I want you to use the wiring diagram and follow the wires. Identify all these components we just talked about. Go through the sequence of operation. Even if it's not running, go through and touch every component as you say it. Inducer fan motor, inducer draft motor, combination gas valve, high limit switch. I want you going through it and touching it. I want you to connect what these components are to the unit so that you know them. So when I ask you about it, you know what I'm talking about. It's a new language, HVAC. You got to start now. You got a question?
So, is that the timer, the switches?
Oh, dip switches, yeah. You can adjust the fan off. So if the fan stays on too long and Mrs. Jones is complaining it's too cool, you can make it stay on longer. What other questions? No? All right, Jason, you want to take them out in the lab and you guys roll through that. Jason will be there to answer all the questions you have. And it's going to be almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
Who are you going to check with to see if I could be here at 7?
Oh, he's in the other classroom. Let me go get him right now.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So we're done. We're not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty well burned.
I don't know how you can go for 9 hours straight. Every day.
Oh, yeah. Thursdays are just long. I get really tired by Thursday.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, Doug.
Yes, sir.
Regarding gas furnaces on Cengage, have you heard anything from Cengage people yet on fixing the issue?
Oh, yeah, they said it was all you.
Uh-huh.
And they said Canadians always have this problem, but they said
Makes
they'll.
perfect sense.
Yeah. So that's what the. You got it.
My nationality.
That's right. Thank you. Yes. You know, you should change it to Mexican because those guys, I know they work and I know they have a, a good ethic.
Spanish, okay?
But the Canadians, they just white privilege all the way.
Yeah.
Just jeez.
I was just wondering because I tried it earlier.
We got a solution. Do the best you can.
Minus the temperature differential. 10 degrees higher than normal. So if I look at 35 degrees and it's 45, is that high? What if it's 25? Then I'd pick low. And if it's 35, it's just normal. It was the air entering down. Remember that that's part of your temperature. So it'd be it's a 55 supply. So my close here is like a 55 supply. That means 75 in there. Right? So what they're saying here is what's the split? 20. So 55 minus 20 is the split. Well, for air conditioning. Oh yeah. But you guys know what a split is.
So all the hard work that I'm doing just so I won't get my license. That sucks.
So your license, I mean, you know how to do the work, but as far as your license goes, you had to earn this way for 4 years to be a contractor, AC contractor.
So I gotta be somebody's bitch regardless.
Or get a friend that does it and just get him to sign off on your time. If you have somebody that's actually a licensed contractor and you can get them to say, hey, he's been working for the last 4 years doing air conditioning, then you can go take your contractor's test. There's one other thing you can do too. If you sign up as a handyman and you don't charge over $1,000 for anything, that falls into a category
And a
too.
handyman. Oh, that's a good thing also.
As long as you don't, you get to break it up to no more than $1,000 per.
Yeah, no,
thing.
you do. If it is over 1,000, you should break. But I won't be entitled to get an account in one of those warehouses now where you get the parts cheaper.
You can.
You can?
Just there's just restrictions on it, about how many employees you can have, all that kind of stuff when you handyman. Contractor's license is the way to go. It's just get somebody to sign up for you. But if you want to start out and get going, you can do the handyman thing.
Okay.
It's under $1,000 for anything.
That makes me feel way better.
Good.
Let me ask you something. So yesterday I was doing my time case. I got some emergency situation came in, and I couldn't finish the whole thing.
How many did you get done?
I got the only simulation that I got maybe like 10.
10? Okay.
10 more.
You have to do at least, I think, 8. If you do 8, that's what required. A minimum of 8.
Okay.
You don't have to do them all. We want you to, but you don't
Yeah,
have
but
to
it
do them
wasn't
all.
good. I mean, construction to go. So I don't know if you can just open it up.
I can't open them once the date falls and it's done. Yeah, I can't get back into it. But your grade, as long as you do at least 8, you're okay.
Oh, okay. I mean, it was something that happened.
And there's a new set coming up. Like the next set ends tonight or tomorrow night. So you want to try to get as many as you can done
well,
before
the
then.
last one, yeah.
And then there's another set like this weekend. Get ahead of it. 'Cause there's going to be another set coming up for
Yeah, I
diagnostics.
was doing it and all of a sudden I have a rental unit. So what happened was last night they had a SWAT team came in and
Holy
busted
shit.
the door up.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and they were like calling me like 9, like 10 o'clock at night.
Holy
And I
crap.
was like, what did I do? So I had to call the insurance company and try
Oh.
to the thing about it, they went to the wrong unit. It's a condo. It's supposed to be the next one.
Oh my gosh, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
yeah, they pulled the whole front door out.
Oh my gosh, fun.
Pulled them on the floor.
Wow.
It was so I was trying to fix the whole thing, like pictures.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
They wasted no time. They smashed it. Hey Scott.
Oh yeah. She heard it. She thought it was like a gunshot. Like they put a hole in it and they pulled the
Holy
grill.
smash!
Yeah.
And they're not gonna pay for none of that, are they?
No.
Good time.
It's ridiculous.
The 410. I guess you're doing it.
I'm sorry, what?
The 410 certification?
Yes.
You're in charge.
If you pay Kelly, she'll give you the book.
I already got the book.
Okay,
I
great.
already paid for it. I
Perfect.
just want to know morning time, nighttime.
Nighttime. I think
Nighttime?
all the class can be at night.
Okay,
I think.
same like we've been running here. All right,
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
How you doing? Good. Good. Excellent.
Yeah,
Done now, huh? Last week, right?
Yeah.
Great. Good.
glad I switched over. Thought of stopping for a while.
Yeah. Don't want to stop. Yeah. It's good. Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Timothy. Tim.
So, work question, David and I can come over and grab a table.
Hey.
David and I can come over and grab a table then tomorrow? Yeah.
The videographer wants to come in early to get set up for tomorrow. What time are you coming in tomorrow?
Am I giving the fairly guy a ride to work?
I get a ride from Jason.
What's that?
I get a ride from Jason.
Okay, so how early does he want to come in?
How early do you want to come in?
Well, I'll come in as early as he needs.
He wants to come in at 7.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll let you introduce you to so he knows you know him and he knows you. If you have a
I'll
moment.
be the one with the key opening the door to let him in.
I just want to make sure it's all like
I'll be the guy in the Porsche.
the Porsche.
Porsche.
This is Tim.
Hey.
He's the early riser here. So he said
7 is what time you want to come in to set up?
Yeah, if that works for you.
Sure. Yep. That's no problem.
boom, there we go. Problem solved.
I could actually come in and open up for him and then come get you if you need it.
Oh, well, let me talk to Jason and see what
See what time Jason's
Jason gets up.
Ari?
Ari?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. All right, man. We'll see you in the morning.
Thanks.
Good.
Good.
You
Sweet.
guys all caught up?
Yeah.
Well, if it's on the inside, I mean.
Well, the UV light radiates all around it, so anything coming through there.
When I told you I was gonna get this, you said you would explain real quick how to charge it with this.
Can not today? I am so tired. I've been here since 7 in the morning nonstop.
Yeah, that's fine.
I love those. I have a set. Yeah, can you bring it tomorrow? It should be tomorrow. I should be able to go through it.
Yeah, I'll bring it by tomorrow.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just.
No, that's cool.
I'm so exhausted.
Understandable. I started work at 4 in the morning.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. I have no idea.
UV light just keeps that coil clean, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
it has a shine on the coil. It prevents growth from being on the coil.
Itself.
It's moving so fast that it can't clean the air. The air is moving too fast. Any of the particles in the air, it won't do nothing for it at all. It has to keep the coil from, that's where it's going to be wet, that's where the stuff's going to grow is on the coil. So if it sticks on the coil, the UV light has time to shine on it, kills it off the coil. People put those in the ductwork all the time and it does nothing. They're like, oh yeah, it cleans the air. It doesn't. The air is moving so fast, like 700 feet per minute, as the air is moving by there so fast, it does zero for cleaning the air. So it does keep the coil clean.
So that what that's doing then is killing any growth on the coil.
On the coil, yep.
But it's not. But
filtering the air.
No.
But it's not going to keep particulates or anything off the coil.
No.
It's not going to stop dust from building up
No.
on there or whatever else. That's
It just prevents the growth from
killing any
building
growth
off the
that-
dust.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly.
So even saying cleaning the coil is still a little bit.
Sanitizer.
So that's why I like good filtration. So number one, make sure we don't have any dirt going to the coil. Number two, UV light to prevent growth from happening on the coil. Those two things, you'll never have to have a coil clean. Keep it clean, keep things from growing on it.
Cool. Thank you.
You got it. You got questions, I got answers. I love this stuff. I live for this stuff. Oh, and stay away from UV lights that create ozone.
Yeah.
Like the Remy or the Halo Plus.
You know how many people are putting ozone machines inside their
Yeah.
spaces?
Insanity.
Ground level ozone is terrible.
It's horrible. Good up high, bad nearby.
They tell you not to fill your gas tank in the middle part of the day because it creates ground level ozone. And then all these people, someone at the bar just the other night was talking about an ozone machine or cleaning out smells in their house. I'm like,
You know what it does? It attacks your nose so you can't smell it anymore.
Look that up.
So it's like, oh, it smells fresh. Well, kid, you're just killing your nose.
But you've got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of.
and most of them
Casinos.
can't smell anyways.
In casinos.
Okay. But did you see how I did that? How I found that? And then. What's that? Did you do your essays? No. Let's see what. So. Right there.
What's up, SA?
Oh, you gotta get this simulation done. That's more important.
Oh, we're getting your ass fucking deported now. We're getting that's assault and battery, right?
Well played, sir. Well played.
I walk around, I'm like, oh, he's got salt and pepper or something.
Something coming.
How long did it take you to think of that one?
I keep it just for that. I never know when it's gonna.
I'm
when
not
I-
surprised in the league.
Go down to that last unit, 29, troubleshooting.